Greetings, everybody. We are sitting here on our back porch out in the forest, as you can see, and wanted to bring an update on things that have been happening around our house. So, at the beginning of March, we had a family come, a missionary slash pastor family, a guy that I'd gotten to mentor as he was going through seminary, and he and his wife came, and with their 7 kids, and Janie was gone at that time. She was visiting Darrow down in California, and so Dalen and I got to be a part of their family for those 5 days or so. On the tail end of that, we had a pastors retreat where we had 12 to 14 pastors come out, and this has been a cohort that's been going on for almost 3 years now, and it's been a servant leadership cohort, and we tackle different questions and get into different discussions, and had guys from the Portland area and from also Central Oregon, and that was actually an amazing time. 3 days, 12 people spent the night at the house, which is again an amazing thing to be able to have this home where we can have so many people staying here. And then after that, we had a couple stay with us, actually, that is in radical transition. Again, another pastor slash missionary couple.
Two different couples, actually.
Yeah,
One couple and then a family.
Yeah, and this one, they came and stayed with us for a few days because they're in major transition, trying to figure out what's next in life. So that was amazing. But then Janie had this idea for a retreat, and so tell us your idea for a retreat that I didn't know, quite frankly, if I wanted to do it or not at first.
I thought it was amazing that God provided this house for us, and especially during this season, during COVID, when we couldn't travel. And so we just feel so blessed to be able to have this place. And I got the idea. I just have a heart for young people, and so does Jonathan these days. And I was thinking of a L'Abri type retreat. I don't know if you know what L'Abri is, but was a community of believers that was led by Francis Schaeffer back in the mid 50s. Francis Schaeffer was a philosopher, theologian. He was an evangelist and a pastor, and he began these communities to be like a forum for both young and old to discuss the philosophical and theological currents of the day that were driving society. And, we have just seen so much going on with our young people just in droves leaving the church. So I got this idea that we should have some retreats, some L'Abri type retreats. And so we actually had our first one, and we had like 11 people attend. And we are so excited at all that God did during that time. We had discussions that were centered around the deconstruction of the church and the philosophies that have driven all of that. And then after that, we talked about what does it look like to do reconstruction? How do we reconstruct the church? And we believe, honestly, that servant leadership is the key to this generation of believers recovering from the destruction that's been done to the church by society and by postmodernism and by media, but even more so the internal harms done by the church itself, which have driven people away. So some of those would include sexual abuse and spiritual abuse and financial abuse and deceit and, well, all of that within the church. I think you've all seen some of that. So servant leadership is what Christ Jesus taught. And this is the key to thriving as a church during these difficult times. And I suggest, if you haven't read it, go and get a copy of Jonathan's book, Breaking the King Saul Syndrome. And he's got a new book coming out called Reconstructing the Church, Paul's Letters to the 21st Century. So that's going to be cool.
Anyway, one of the things, when Janie wanted to do this retreat, I didn't actually know exactly what we wanted to talk about. But it was fascinating because all of our kids are being led astray by a couple of philosophers that just died recently. And it's rather remarkable. There's a quote that says, "All of us are a byproduct of an unconscious byproduct of a dead man's philosophy." And it's amazing how this philosophy that these two guys that nobody, you don't even know their names. In fact, if you know the two guys who were the postmodernist uh, uh, really prophets or philosophers, let me know. But we called attention to their names and their philosophy, and these young people were like, "Oh my word, we follow these guys without even question, and we don't even know who they are." And it's amazing when you can just call something out and say what it is, who it was that said it, what it is they said. Suddenly, it doesn't have the same power over the young
Yeah.
people that it
And
had before.
and all of these things that are going on in our society just all of a sudden fit into this incredible schema um, of postmodernism.
Yeah. Anyway, one of the young guys that came, we had people from Gresham area, we had people from Central Oregon. It was pretty cool because the Central Oregonians met up with these Gresham young people that we'd worked with and been a part of their lives even through the high school Bible study. And it was amazing how they encouraged one another. And these Central Oregonians who don't have a big
Hmm.
movement of young people out here were so encouraged by the young people coming over. So encouraged. One of the young guys that came, his name was Jared. His folks actually wrote me a text, and when he got home the night after the retreat, he woke them up at 11:30 at night and downloaded everything he'd been learning. And we had no clue, but everything he learned was exactly what he was struggling with. And it was so encouraging to know that just simply
Yeah.
identifying and talking about these things, and it really has just done a whole
Yeah.
shift, and he's been able to embrace his faith like never
Everybody
before.
everybody said that this was exactly what they needed. So we hope to have more of these this year. At least one more, if not two more, of these retreats.
and and then we were supposed to actually be in Haiti right now because we got some sound going by, but that always happens. Whenever you make a recording, you can count on the local leaf blower to go on by. But we were supposed to be in Haiti, and it wasn't canceled because of COVID. It was postponed. Looks like we'll go in October because of just the political upheaval going on down there, which again, the leadership is such a mess in Haiti.
Hmm.
And so we're looking forward to getting good to go down there and work with the leaders. So pray that actually will take place in October. But what was really cool,
Something really exciting
we wouldn't have been here,
is,
but we
yeah,
got
we wouldn't have been here, but we've had our daughter here, Dara, our oldest, here for the last 2 weeks. And we were, just to tell you a little brief story, when she moved down to Oxnard, California last year, with the Navy, Dara and I literally we fasted and prayed one day just so that she could find some really good friends, like at least one friend that would have kids, her kids' ages, because they had kind of almost been, it wasn't the desert because it was so rainy up at Whidbey Island, but it was like the desert for her because she just didn't have a lot of friends up there. And so we prayed and fasted, and it was amazing because the very next day, Dara was at a park with her kids, and this gal came up. There's a leaf blower again. This gal came up that she had actually stalked on Instagram looking for Navy moms in Oxnard. She had seen this girl, and up comes this girl, and she had two kids, and she sat down right next to Dara, and they started a conversation, and they found they have so many similar hobbies and so many things in common, and they have literally become the best of friends. And Amanda converted to Catholicism, her husband's faith, about 5 years ago. And so we weren't really quite sure where she was in her faith. We feel it's nominal. But we were so excited because when Dara came, she decided she was going to come too with the two kids because we invited them. We invited her to come. And just before they left down there, she ended up getting this terrible hip pain, a hip that she's had 7 surgeries in. Well, I immediately turned to some of you, our prayer warriors, and I just texted you and said, please pray right now for her because she's got to come up here. And it was amazing. That very night, after everybody had been praying, um, I told Dara to ask her if her hip was better, and it was.
And this would have stopped her from coming
It
because
would have stopped her from
it's,
coming.
and so it was totally better. And she was shocked. And then she found out that we had tons of people praying for her.
So it was a wonderful because she ended up getting to come and be a part of our Passover meal that we have, a believer's Passover meal. And we watched The Chosen, the first season. She'd never even heard of it. And she had all these questions, and we had great discussions. She has really continued to say how blessed she has been to just be here with us. And her kids actually call us Nana and Papa.
Yeah.
That's how special that they've become. And it has just been such a great God thing to have her here. I know that we're meant to be in her life. And
It was pretty neat.
in
We
her
actually prayed that we had a bunch of people pray that she would be open spiritually and that she would ask spiritual questions. And the first night, she just, I hope you don't mind me asking.
life.
And she just opened up and started asking. And I think it's partially she's just never felt free in her church context to ask the questions that have been holding her up. And it's just been amazing. So anyway, that's what's happening. They're going to be leaving here in a couple days, but pray for her, for Amanda. They're both of their husbands are deployed. That's why they're here. And just pray for guidance in his leading. We lead a church retreat at Vast Church out here, the staff retreat this next in the coming week. So pray for that. And anyway, thank you guys for your prayers and your involvement. Love you tons. And that's the update for now.